Balance is a big indicator of our overall well-being. As we grow older, we tend to lose our ability to balance. This class is going to work on restoring balancing, especially on one foot, one leg. Balance, well, hugely physical, is also a mental game. So if you're not in the moment, you might find that you're struggling to balance, but we'll talk about that more as we're practicing. For right now, we're going to get started in an easy, comfortable seat, and that's what's easy and comfortable for your body. I am sitting crisscross. Your legs could be out if that works better for your knees, but we want to be easy, comfortable. We talk about balance being a mental game. Start by really feeling where your seat, your legs connect into your mat. When you hear a yoga teacher, excuse me, talk about grounding, they often talk about your ability to be present where you're physically grounded. It's a great place to focus. Feeling stability from those connection points. It also gives us an opportunity to shift away our attention from the things that might be vying for it and really just bring them into our body. Balance is all about body connection. So we're sort of breathing our spine up tall and exhaling into our seat, our legs, our connected points. So now, as you go to exhale, we're not just dropping into our grounded places. We want to start firming up our core, sort of feeling our belly button pull towards spine on that contraction. We're highlighting another really important area for stabilization, which is the core. And you might notice as you're exhaling and pulling your belly button in towards your spine that your lower back may feel a little more supported or engaged. When we are firm here, we are taking out any rounding. So it's really good for your lower back. And of course, we've added that second element for grounding, making our breath a focal point for our thoughts. All right, last breath here. And then we'll tip to our hands and knees into our tabletop position. And as with any practice, even if it's not directly related, it never hurts to warm up the spine. So we're going to inhale, lift our chest up, sort of drop our shoulders away from our ears, open up the front body, and then we'll exhale, arc our spine, get lots of space. And we're just connecting breath to movement. And again, this is opening up our spine. You want our back nice and loose, and that's just going to make our practice that much safer. Our spine is so foundational. We want to take good care of it. And these are 2 of the 6 ways you can move your spine. So let's take just a couple more rounds, kind of turning our focus over to our breath. That way you can really find that back supporting, core engaging exhale. The next time you inhale, go to your neutral table on exhale. Another one of my favorites, and it brings our spine in a different direction, is the horse biting tail. So you bump your hip over to the right, you look back at it. This is called flexion, kind of flexing our spine to the side, our right elbow soft. We'll come center, and we'll find a little flexion to the left. and we'll come center. So a big part of balance, we're gonna curl our toes under, walk our hands back, is making sure your feet are prepared for it. Places, especially again as we're aging, that we can lose sensation is in our toes. So this is our toe squat, or sometimes called broken toe. I'm leaning forward, keeping my spine long, and that's going to work best for some arches, some feet. Others might be perfectly comfortable walking their hands to their quads. We are not trying to force our feet open, especially if your feet don't get a lot of attention. So this gives us a nice big opening, kind of awakens the toes, which is going to help us balance. And we'll tip things forward. Uncurl, we take little taps out, just really get the blood flow into the feet. And we're gonna take our right foot back, land on the ball of our foot. We kind of gently press through our heel, make sure our calf muscle is good and loose. The lower legs, when we are balancing on one leg, is where all of our good stabilizer muscles are at. It might sound counterintuitive, but you don't want your muscles tight. That's not going to help you balance. If anything, it isn't going to give you the ability to correct if you're stiff, but if you're sort of open and released, you're going to be able to go with the flow of the things that want to knock us off our balance. So nice big stretch in our calf. And then we'll set our foot down, or our knee down, and we'll do the same thing on the left. So bringing our left foot back, that nice big stretch. Right through our calf. And keep our elbows soft here, grounded in our thumb and index, trying to, and I know it's hard as we push back, but trying not to put too much weight in the heels of the hands for the safety of the wrists. Yeah, and then we'll set our feet down, or our knee down, give both toes a curl under, lift our seat, find our downward facing dog, and we'll pedal our heels towards the mat, getting another stretch in the calf muscle, sort of waking up the Achilles. Starting to wake up the hamstring, a little heart to knees. Let's check in with our down dog. So big inhale, exhale, lower your hips. Your shoulders should come right over your wrists. And you can see I'm kind of correcting my pose. So I didn't have it quite long enough, and that's okay. That's why we check in. We'll bring our seat back up, and we'll come back to downward facing dog, little pedals. All right, let's one more. Find our high plank, set our knees down, press through the tops of our feet. I love a good half plank. It really highlights that area in our core that we want to be strong and sturdy to help us balance. And then we'll lower nice and slow to the mat. And before we come in to a little cobra, what we're going to do is just roll onto our left side body. From here, we'll bend our top foot. Ideally, we catch our knee with our hand. If you do have a strap nearby, sort of like our toes, our calf muscles don't always get tons of love. Strap can give you the extra space to get that release, but same idea of if our muscles are really stiff, we might not balance quite as well. So we open up our quad here, keeping our right knee in line with our left. And then we'll release our foot, roll over through our belly and off to our right side so we can get our left leg all stretched out. Knee alignment. Always use the strap to grant yourself more space. But releasing our quad. And then we'll let things go. Roll back to our belly. Palms under shoulders, elbows in at the rib cage. We'll take a little micro cobra, using mostly just the strength of our back. Remember, that lowest part of our core is going to be really important for balance. Press into our hands, curl toes under, downward facing dog. A couple more lovely big stretches out. And we'll walk our feet to our hands and we'll come into our first forward fold. Before we hold our forward fold, I like to inhale, half lift, lengthen out my spine, get soft in my knees, exhale, hinge. You could grab your elbows and sway things out. You can let your arms dangle and sway things out. But make sure the spine is good and loose, the head is released. And then we'll slow roll to stand. Head's going to be the last thing to come up. And we roll up slow, right? Kind of for the sake of balance. We don't want to roll up fast, C-star. So now we're on our feet. We're going to roll our shoulders back. Ground into our feet. And this is where that mental element comes in. We really want to ground and feel our foot against the mat. So we'll start with right foot. I take a little rock and find where the heel and the ball connect. So once you settle into place here, you just notice how those points settle into the mat. And then we want to pick up just the big toe, leave the 4 other toes on the mat. I don't know about you, my 4 others like to scrunch down. Could you release them as you pick up just the big toe? Set your big toe down. Here's another tricky one. Big toes grounded, all other 4 toes lift at once. And we try and keep even the pinky edge ball of the foot down. This is having our brain connect with our foot. We're moving our foot in unusual ways, and we have to be focused on the foot and in the moment. So now we set things down. We'll take a moment, maybe stretch out the front of the ankle a little bit, or a little ankle roll. Let's try that one more time in the right foot. Heel ball grounded. We pick up just the big toe. How much focus does that require for you, especially to keep the other 4 toes on the mat unscrunched? Big toe, ball, heel. Could you pick up the other 4, leaving the pinky edge ball down? Then we set our foot down. Okay. Check in with the ankle, make sure everything's good. Now that the awareness is in our right foot, we're going to shift all of our weight over to it, pick up our left foot. Hands can be on the hips. We're just going to take little micro kicks out to the side. So we're doing something that is kind of purposely challenging our balance. And you can notice those little stabilizer muscles in your ankle and your calf. You might feel a little heat here. But this is why we want to be loose in this area, right? Those little micro corrections are easier done with a soft leg rather than a stiff leg. Keep your right knee soft. We'll take one more kick out. We'll bring it back to center. We'll check in with our ankle and we'll come over into the left foot. So same deal, heel ball connection, right? And we're picking up just our big toe. Trying to be as soft in the other 4 as possible. Big toe comes down, it connects, and we pick up our 4 other toes. Trying to keep the pinky edge ball of the foot down. We'll bring it to neutral, check in, maybe take a little taps of foot, little ankle roll. How are things feeling? All right, foot comes back down. Once again, big toe lifts. How's it doing? Big toe sets down. Other 4 come up. Pinky edge of the ball tries to go down. Foot goes down. Check in, loosen anything up. All right. Grounded left foot now. Now that our awareness is in our left foot, we connect at the heel and ball, but the toes acting as a secondary point of contact. Hands are on the hips, and we are kicking things out. We are purposely sort of testing our balance, but leaving our foot close to the mat, nothing too scary. We're feeling those little wobbles, making those little auto corrections, and just noticing how much focus and attention we want in our foot. All right, last one. We'll bring things to center. Check in with that ankle. We'll come to the top of our mat. Inhale our hands up. Exhale, have a little melt to our toes. Inhale, come up half. Before we take a flow, let's come into forward fold, letting our heads hang, shaking out, waking up our hamstrings, everything we just needed to balance. So keep your right foot where it's at, right toes facing forward, get soft in your knees so the left foot can step back. We're gonna be in this nice low lunge, kind of rock things out a little bit, check in with our hips. All right, are you ready for it? Because this requires some leg strength and make us balance. We're going to take this low lunge, we're gonna breathe our chest up, turn it into a high lunge, really strong. How's your left hip flexor? Shoulders are soft, drop your elbows in line with shoulders, little wake up of the heart. Hands reach. We're gonna step off of our back foot, ready for it? Maybe little hops, maybe one big hop. And we'll step to the front. All right, how's that feel for balance? Exhale through your hands through heart center. We're grounded in our right foot. We're gonna turn left open. You can stop here. This is called our tree pose. This one's nice and connected with our foot acting as a kickstand. We can bring it up to our calf. We can bring it up to our inner thigh. Wherever you feel safe, we're laying that foundation. We're going to our foot, feeling the heel ball, the toes connect. We're softening our right knee. We're allowing those little waves of movement. We're firming up our core. We see how important it is for our stabilization. Hands come to our heart. If you're feeling pretty good and steady and you wanted to bring hands overhead, grow some branches. But balance is a mental game. So once we've laid the foundation, we feel the awareness in our foot, we put our eyes on a non-moving point. It could be on your floor, it could be on your wall. But we kind of stare at something not moving with this soft, unfocused gaze. We try and make our mind still so our bodies are a bit still and balanced. If your mind is full of thoughts and feeling off balance itself, you're probably not going to balance on your foot. Big inhale. Exhale through heart center. Step things out. Check in with right ankle. All right. So that same sort of half flow, we're going to inhale our hands up. Exhale down to our toes. Inhale, come up halfway. Forward fold. This time our left toes are going to face forward. We're going to get soft in our knees. Step right foot back. That active lower lunge. You can see my knees stacked. We kind of just rock things out a little bit. Make sure our hips are a bit fluid. We're grounded in our right foot. And we're going to check in with the strength of our legs, kind of prepping ourselves for balance. By grounding into our feet, inhaling our chest up, breathing ourselves up into a high lunge. How does that feel? How does your hip flexor feel? I always love these little poses where you step to the front. And it can be a couple hops at once or one big one, but it teaches us how to transfer into our foot to sort of naturally find the balance. We'll exhale through heart center. Give ourselves a moment here. And really connect with our left foot, open up right, finding our tree. Again, kickstanding is a great place to build up strength in the ankle, in those little stabilizer muscles. It is most certainly not cheating, it's laying a strong foundation. The calf is the next point if you're looking to make that next move, But we find the connection in our left foot, keep our left knee soft, firm up our core, hands to the heart or overhead. We look at our non-moving point. Ideally, we just sort of stare off into this space. Give our brains a little rest to just focus on something we see all the time, but maybe don't really notice. You might feel those little wobbles, those little micro corrections in your leg. Those are your stabilizer muscles getting stronger. Enough of this training, and it really will get easier to balance. Make sure you soften your shoulders away from your ears, relax your jaw. Tension is not your friend when you're balancing. Release and kind of going with the flow is. Big inhale. We exhale it through heart center, step out. Maybe a little tops of the feet, just checking in with our ankles. All right, now we'll take a full flow to get down towards our mat. So we're inhaling, bringing hands up, exhaling to toes. Inhale, half lift. Before we take that flow, let's hang out in another forward fold with our soft knees. Since balancing requires so much of the legs, we'll get some release and give our spines a break, shaking out our head, a little sway of our torso. We'll settle so deeply into our knees, our hands come to the mat, we step back, we find a high plank. Remember, you can always find a knee plank, especially if you feel that engages your core better. This time, when we lower down to the belly, we'll flow right into our back bend, inhaling up our little cobra, using a good deal of back strength, maybe a little hands this time. And then we'll press up through table, have a swing to our seat. Sit up nice and tall. We might point the toes, kind of get a stretch going across our shins, roll out our ankles. We'll bend our knees, head to our backs. When we land, we're going to take our feet mat distance. We're going to take some really big, wide windshield wipers. Those tree poses had kind of turned our hips open. So now we'll make sure everything is loose. There's nothing left to grip or hold. We'll bring our feet still, bring them back to center, give ourselves a nice squeeze of the right foot, take left long. If you have a strap, you might want to put it on the bottom of your right foot. If you don't, you can simply catch the back of your right leg. You might just not want to go behind the knee because we love a good soft knee. Shoulders spread out against the mat. So we're back into our hamstring. We can take and we can point our toes. That'll stretch us across the shin, our ankle, everything that was working hard to stabilize us in our balance. And you can play with pronation, bringing your big toe over to the left, through center, kind of pointed off towards the right, getting some good ankle stretches. And then we flex our foot. Toes go towards us, heel drives to the ceiling, knee is soft. Now we're getting a nice big calf stretch. So everything that was directly involved in our tree pose. We'll just sort of open our foot off to the right. Again, where we had opened up our hip, that might feel really nice, keeping your knee soft. And bring your foot to neutral. Inhale your leg up to center, give it a nice hug, squeeze. We'll take our left hand and take our right leg across the body. Our right hand's gonna reach. We could face the ceiling, look right. But now we're rinsing out from our lower back. And again, that good stabilizing center of gravity gets a nice rinse. So it's not stiff, but mobile, mobility is going to be our key to balance. We'll bring head center, take our leg across, give it a hug, and extend it long on the mat. We'll do the same with left. So we hug in, big squeeze. We'll extend our foot. If you have a strap, I love using a strap here. It can feel really nice, but the hands work just fine, so long as the knee stays soft. We just never want to hyperextend. Strap's fun too, because you can still, point the toe, the strap will stay there. Get that wonderful stretch across ankle and shin. How's that feeling? That might even feel better when you play with that pronation of sort of turning your foot to the side, bringing your pinky edge to the ceiling, off to the other side. And a hold where you need the most release. And then as you're ready, we'll pass through neutral and then take our foot flex. Knee stays soft, heel drives up to ceiling, toes pull back towards you, and you're going to feel the stretch in your calf muscle. Foot is neutral. Both hands are grabbing the strap, and we're going to come into that Y stretch for our inner hip again. Just a nice big release. The more mobile, the more release the legs, the better the stretch is. Or the better the balance, I should say. Bring things center. Bend through your knee. If you were using a strap, get rid of it. Give your knee a hug. Right hand takes leg across body. I like to reach left for balance, to remind my shoulders to relax, to accentuate this twist. We might have a look off to our left fingers. Just a wonderfully big spinal rinse. Then we'll take our head center, our leg back across. We'll give it a squeeze. Right knee will come up to meet left. We'll squeeze both knees in. Open up, find a happy baby, catching our feet. Really waking up the inner hip, lengthening out our spines, our lower backs. Release the feet. Give your knees a hug into your chest. Take a moment to exhale long on your mat. We'll take a really brief sort of savasana, but it's really just to heighten that grounded awareness. Notice all these connection points, right? Where your legs touch the mat, your seat, your shoulders, your arms, the back of your head. All these grounded and connected points. Notice where the back or the knees might arc off the mat a little bit. Just a good dose of body familiarity. And then we'll wiggle out our fingers and our toes, roll our wrists, our ankles. We might take a full body stretch. We roll to one side, come up to a seated position. And I will say, as always, thank you for sharing the practice with me.